Welcome to this week's episode of the Compliance Digest, presenting topics on all things compliance related. My name is Alex Krenke, and joining me this week is Patrick Torhorst, the Chief Information Officer at Quest CE. Patrick, welcome.
Thank you.
This is Patrick's first time on the show, and you may be wondering why we've decided to have one of our IT professionals on the show, and that's because we're rolling out a new product, the name of that being the Branch Audit Tool. So today, Patrick's going to give us an overview of the solution, talk about some of the advantages, and then talk about where the idea came from to build this new tool. So let's just start there, Patrick.
Most definitely. Branch Audit Tool is something we've been considering updating for the last couple of years. We did have a version of Branch Audit, however, it wasn't a full-blown management tool like we have now. And then earlier this year, our sales team took a trip out to the Finner conference, and Branch Audit was one of those buzz topics that was being talked about amongst everyone. Then when we got back, because of that, we had some discussions out there with some of our current clients, and we were able to sit down and have some conversations about what they'd like to see out of a branch audit tool that doesn't exist in the industry right now. So we were able to figure out, some of the pain points that could be solved from a technology perspective. So we quickly realized that it was something that we could really help on, and decided to move forward.
Let's talk about some of the advantages of because earlier you mentioned that we did have an old solution. This is a brand new solution. And what did you take into consideration when you were developing the new platform?
Yeah, most definitely. The previous version, the first version we came out with was more of just a organization tool, kind of a scheduling tool. This new version is actually a full branch audit, what I would call a management platform. They're able to manage the entire life cycle of the branch audit process, everything from scheduling the audit to post-audit follow-up, things like automatic generation of required documentation, things like offline syncing capabilities. So one of the pain points we heard from many of our clients and many of the people in the industry was that, many times they'll get out to these branch offices and they won't have an internet connection. Yeah. So that's okay when you're dealing with a paper process, but as soon as you have a web-based application, obviously you run into some problems. We were able to solve that problem in a very nice way. So the exact way that the application functions when you do have an internet connection, it'll function when you don't have an internet connection. I think one of the other really important problems that we solved is that when you have a paper-based solution, one of the nice things about being paper-based is that you have the freedom to basically jump around in the audit however you want. And what we needed to do was match that process within the tool. So we built out the questionnaires in what we call a table of contents format. It allows the auditors to be able to jump around the audit, deal with any section of the audit that they may want to deal with at that point in time, and not be limited by what the tool can do. The application is there to make them more efficient, save them time, and we don't want to make them do anything that is out of the ordinary of their normal process. I think the other thing that needs to be highlighted really is the follow-up capabilities, the automatic generation of the documentation. I think that's a huge time saver. Purely, going from a paper process to an electronic process, being able to do things like risk analysis, automatically generating the follow-up documentation, the reporting that you can pull out of the system. So, for instance, on the fly in real time, if you want to see any of the high-risk deficiencies that have been identified, a system administrator can log in for the entire organization within a matter of seconds, see the high priority items that need to be followed up on. And it also lets the auditor have access to all that information in one neat package to keep things organized, and it's very user-friendly. So I think that in the end, we were able to match their paper process very well and give them a tool that's going to be much more efficient, save them time, and in the end, save them money.
So harking back to the Finner conference again, I think a reoccurring trend that we saw that Finner is really focusing on is moving away from this idea of off-the-shelf, and it's not just branch audit tool, it's really everything within the compliance realm. So firm element training, don't just go out there and pick out courses that are very broad and can apply to a large population of reps. Look for something that's more specific to your type of rep. in the products that they sell, whether it be complex or more retail-based. So when we were developing the branch audit tool, I think we were looking at it the same way. This needs to be a product that's going to work for the compliance department in their current process. It has to be something that can mirror the current way they're doing it and be really more conversational than like a lot of the other solutions being just a questionnaire. So would you say that this is the future of compliance?
And that's kind of, from a technology perspective, that's what we pride ourselves on, basically. A lot of what we hear from people in the industry, who are the professionals and have to actually go through all these processes, is that a lot of the technology that's out there, it will perform certain tasks, but it forces you to do things their way. We wanted to develop applications that are flexible and customizable, that can adapt to our client situations. So branch audit especially is one of those situations where client A might have one process and client B has another process and client C has a completely other process. Because you're right, the conversation is supposed to be adapted to the scenario that they're working in at that point in time, and every company's different. So the tool that we built out the flexibility to be able to have any type of functionality needed for that particular company structure, and the questionnaires are built out in a way that they're geared towards having a conversation. So it's not, when you say questionnaire, you think of an online survey or something like that. That's nothing like what we've created. We laid things out in a table of contents format. It allows the auditor to be able to work through the audit in any order they see fit. So as the conversation is taking place, when they're performing the audit on site, they can enter that information into the system, and the system even has reminders built into it so that if a certain scenario comes up, certain discussion topics are being displayed. So that, hey, if you're in this scenario, make sure you remember to address these types of items when you're performing the audit. So I think that is the future of compliance. And I think we accomplished it.
Yeah, I think, and what we're seeing is that the reaction has been very favorable towards this new solution. That people are seeing it, and it's kind of a breath of fresh air because it's very familiar, yet it's able to centrally organize the entire audit process. So for us, it's a really exciting solution, and I think our clients have been saying the exact same thing, that it's going to be definitely something that they'll see fitting into their compliance program moving into the future.
Yeah, most definitely, and that's, in the end, when you're developing tools like this, that's really what you want to do. Yeah. You want to hear what their pain points are, and then hopefully, when you're done, have solved those problems, which I think is what we did.
Agreed. Really appreciate you coming on the show and talking about the branch audit solution. We're hoping that as we have these new products come out, that you'll be back to talk about them and explain some of the thought process behind them.
Yeah, most definitely.
Thank you. That'll cover it for this week's episode. We'll see you again next week for another exciting episode of the Compliance Digest.